I think they've coached too much, thinking into his game and not letting him rely as much on his instincts and letting him utilize one of his best assets, which is his legs. He's a dual threat quarterback. His job is to not just stay in the pocket and be a pure pocket passer. So no, I don't like it at all. Like, you can't just play to protect Avery Johnson for a 12-game season. All right. You got to lay it on the line.
Hello and welcome into another edition of Pregame. I am John Kurtz, joined by Derek Young and Cole Manbeck. Today we preview K-State Army. The Wildcats try to put together a little better performance than what we saw last week, which I know drove all of you to the Ben Holiday Bottled in Bond Bourbon. Thank you to our friends at Holiday Distillery for their help with that. I'm sure everybody can thank them for that after barely beating North Dakota. They also have 360 vodka, so make sure you get stocked up for your tailgate. You can have something for everybody. That Ben Holiday Bottled in Bond Bourbon continues to get rave reviews. 360 vodka for anybody else. Thank you to great K-State folks at Holiday Distillery who support our show as always. Okay, well, we've got us all three back together. Cole seemed very positive after the game. DY and I not so much. How about like a little vibe check? Wednesday vibe check on the Cats. Cole, how you feeling? You still upbeat, positive?
Yeah, I put on a nice show for you guys on Saturday night, right? I wasn't upbeat.
Wait, that was a show?
Yeah. That was a nice little act for everybody, but I don't know. As we look ahead to this Army game, like, we need to see K-State come out and dominate. Play a sharp, clean football game for 4 quarters, look like they want to be there, look like they care. And then we're going to need to see it against a team that's a non-traditional attack, that's not Army as well, to see if they fix the discipline errors on the back end of the secondary and that defense against an Arizona team that I don't think's good, but, dominated Hawaii, even though Hawaii's got a one-legged quarterback right now. So I don't take a lot from that game, but I mean, they're going to be able to challenge you more through the air than Army is. So, like, when you look at the defense and the secondary, we're not going to know anything if it was corrected against Army. And that's only one issue of what's plagued this Kansas State team so far through 2 games. So, I'd like to see them fire off the ball, hit people, and act like they give a damn and want to be there and that they care about winning. Because Saturday's performance was a completely unacceptable effort, and it can't happen. And I'm frustrated. I mean, this is a team that we thought would be a Big 12 title contender right now. And I don't know if they can right the ship or not. They got a lot of things to clean up.
Wow.
How about that for a vibe check?
Yeah, we're 2 of 2 on unacceptable performances so far this year, according to Cole. So hopefully we get an acceptable one on Saturday. Cole basically led right into, storyline number 1, headline number 1 here for me is just this team looked like it gives a you-know-what and show a little bit of toughness and, grittiness, excitement, anything like that. I feel like Cole did a pretty good job of outlining that because that would sure be nice. I understand, I suppose, the Ireland thing. Chris Kleiman kind of dipped his toe into that water in the post-game press conference, but didn't go all the way in saying, that was sort of a mulligan because of that. Even if it is, you shouldn't be losing the game with 2 minutes left. I don't really care what your excuse is. You got enough talent to figure that one out. There was a lot going on. I mean, the Avery Johnson stuff, and, we can talk about him specifically, but I don't know. Derek, how optimistic are you that this team is going to come out and show a little bit more care, fight, desire, anything?
Yeah, well, I'm not overly confident in anything right now. I'll just put it that way. But, like, in terms of care, fight, desire, I think you'll get that. I'm not sure you haven't got that, but the physicality and toughness that I talked about after game 1 certainly wasn't there still for game 2, and that's where I come back to. And now you're playing the team that's foundation is physicality and toughness, so I'm not, like, bullish that they're going to go out there and completely knock our socks off with the way that they compete against Army, because everything that I've said they're not this year will get exposed against a team like Army.
I guess the care, fight, desire thing, Cole, to me, it's like, I mean, they played Iowa State to a pretty tight game, and then they go out there and they're losing at home, and that's on a neutral field, right? And then at home, they're down by 4 with 2 minutes left against North Dakota. I can't accept that there was care, fight, and desire really on Saturday.
It's taking them lightly at the very least.
Yeah. I mean, Frank Martin used to always say this when we covered the team and talked about how like you only get 32, 33 opportunities to lay it on the line on game day, and to put out a performance where it looks like you don't care, give max efforts, unacceptable. And for the life of me, I can't understand, guys, for as much work as these guys put in 8 months out of the year to get ready for a 4-month season, that you get 6 opportunities in front of your home crowd, and you got a home opener in front of 50,000+ in front of a sellout. And again, you only get 12 of these opportunities in the regular season, and you look like you don't care. Like that is hard for me, for as much effort that you put in and work in the off season, to just go out there and get dominated at times by a North Dakota team, which, look, North Dakota might be a good team. I'm just telling you, like, first year head coach, 5-7 football team. They look more prepared than Kansas State. All right. With a first year head coach. And they're probably a 7-5 FCS level football team. It's not South Dakota. South Dakota got dominated, as you guys outlined on the postgame show, by Iowa State. I could buy the Ireland thing a little bit if I didn't watch the Cyclones completely destroy a better FCS team in South Dakota. I could also buy into the Ireland thing a little bit if they thoroughly dominated the second half, guys, against North Dakota. That, hey, this first half was a wake-up call. That third quarter, they were great, right? And it looked like they were going to get up by 17 points and potentially win by 24-31. I could probably been buy in like, all right, they just completely sleptwalk through the first half, but we see that they can fix that. But then to completely fall apart and crumble in the fourth quarter after putting it on the line in the third shows me a lack of maturity with this football team, that they think they can just coast and go through the motions. And then, they find themselves down 4 with under 2 minutes left against an average FCS squad. That's what bothers me. If they had carried that over to the fourth quarter, I'd feel a little bit better.
Yeah, there are definitely signs there of sleepwalking, get woken up by your staff at halftime, essentially, is what I'm going to guess, with a halftime speech in the locker room. So they come out fired up and play a pretty good third quarter. Kurtz and I talked about that as soon as we saw that, and in case you were fan up in the press box, that somebody lit into them at halftime, because then they finally played inspired football for a little bit in that third quarter. They got the lead, and then they coast, and then you can make an argument the way things, so they got comfortable again. They started to coast again because they got comfortable. They're like, we got these guys beat. And so they're just not, they're playing to the score and playing to the opponent, and they're just not playing football. And one thing I always never want to do is call a team soft behind a keyboard, because I'm not really qualified to call anyone soft here, sitting in my chair behind a desk and a keyboard. But they have some real work to do to prove that stigma wrong in the next few months.
Oh, 1,000%. And I don't think it's even, we were kind of tiptoeing around the Iowa State game, and it's like that game was close enough that I think some people maybe would fight us on that. I don't know that anybody would really fight us on that assertion at this point. I mean, who would after watching that? Yeah. Where's the leadership? Where's the toughness? And Cole, like, we know, like, they've had at least one person in the building this week come in to talk to the team basically about exactly that. Like, take some pride in wearing the uniform kind of thing. So that would tell you that that Coach Kleiman certainly is on board with some of this too. So, the funny thing about all this is, like, the opponent here, I said there was a great tweet from Sicko's committee that was like, oh no, K-State, that's not one of the acceptable Dakotas. Like, had this happened against North Dakota State, had this happened against South Dakota State, had this happened against South Dakota, it would be a little bit more understandable.
Yeah, you played the worst of the 4.
Yeah, chose the wrong Dakota. This is North Dakota. That's you can't do that against North Dakota at all. I mean, it wouldn't be great, against some of those others, but it certainly is not acceptable against North Dakota. All right, Avery Johnson. Now, this one, I will say, in thinking about this over the last few days, I can buy a little bit more than the rest of the team. I can cut him a little more slack, I guess I'll say, than the rest of the team because of everything that was going on in his life, I'm sure, over the last week after what happened in Ireland. But, I mean, it did feel like he took a step back. He had 6 turnover-worthy plays, according to Pro Football Focus, through the air, and then he has a fumbled exchange. I mean, now, at the same time, he put together a great drive after a horrific drop by Jerron Tibbs to win the game, and he put up over 300 yards passing. But, man, it felt like it was back to just being a one-read guy, putting the ball in harm's way all the time. Still, I don't know what's really going on with the legs. I mean, it just feels like, there are a couple opportunities to really go, cut it up and go, and he just doesn't want to do that. And now we hear Chris Kleiman say after the game in the postgame, in the press conference on Monday, we're basically coaching him not to run too much right now, which, I mean, that's sparked a lot of debate. I can tell how Cole feels about that by looking at his reaction. So, I don't know. I mean, Cole, where are you at on, I guess let's start with that discussion. Where Avery's at in general is where I want to go with this, but not coaching Avery to run much right now. I do kind of hate that. Feels a little bit like playing for 8-4.
Yeah, I hate it. I mean, I heard Chris Kleiman's answer and, talking about it's early in the season. He said that he was able to make that 25-yard scramble late in the game because he was fresh and took minimal hits. I don't agree with that. I think Avery Johnson can take a few hits, and Avery is pretty good about avoiding hits in general and getting out of bounds and getting to the sideline because of his speed. So he doesn't get a lot of clean hits on him anyways. It's more so just when they get him out of the pocket, allowing him to feel like he has the freedom to take off and run like he did on that 25-yard scramble. More of those opportunities. There are also opportunities that North Dakota was in a 5-man box on Saturday. K-State went 5 wide. There's a 5-man box. It's a perfect opportunity for a quarterback draw, and he could probably bust a huge one, and they don't do it. There's no openness to it, and I don't agree with the whole protecting Avery. To me, you've coached fear and taken away one of his strengths, and so we've talked about what happened to the Avery Johnson as a runner we saw as a freshman when he made highlight-worthy plays and put that on display, like the North Carolina State game, even the first game of his career against an FCS team, against SEMO, I believe, or whoever it was they played that season. You just saw some of those types of plays. That looked like the Avery Johnson playing free, not thinking, playing loose. I think they've coached too much, thinking into his game and not letting him rely as much on his instincts and letting him utilize one of his best assets, which is his legs. He's a dual-threat quarterback. His job is to not just stay in the pocket and be a pure pocket passer. So no, I don't like it at all. You can't just play to protect Avery Johnson for a 12-game season. All right. You got to lay it on the line. You think, look, I know K-State has been hampered by quarterback injuries traditionally, right? But you think Bill Snyder was coaching fear into L. Roberson and Michael Bishop and those guys that made them great as dual threat quarterbacks. Sometimes you just have to risk it and let a guy be who he is and play free.
I agree. And I don't think you have to coach that into him. I think you can call a game to protect him. So when he does get outside the pocket or feel like he's got space to operate, he does it without reservation, right? I think otherwise you can call a game to protect him by not calling, QB power 10 times, which they don't. So I think they called the game well enough to protect him that they don't need to coach it into him to protect himself, or at least not as much as they apparently have. That's where I would be on it. In terms of his performance last Saturday, it wasn't good. It was probably, some people who are just stat driven are going to look and say, well, he completed 65% of his passes, threw for 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, no scores. And they're going to think this is the stupidest thing that they've ever heard when I say it was probably one of his worst performances of his career since he's been a starting quarterback. And I don't know that it's even close, because if you add the fumble, that's 7 turnover worthy plays when he had 12 or 14 all of last year. That's half of his total from last season, all in one game. So, and that's why I also cut him some slack, a little bit like Kurtz. Not only was he having a little bit of a tumultuous week given the family drama that spilled out in public in Dublin, Ireland, but he never does that. That was by definition a fluke. I mean, 7 turnover worthy plays when he had 14 total last year. Like, that's just not something he does. So I'm going to let that pass, consider it a fluke, and be glad it happened against North Dakota and not somebody else. At the same time, what is carrying over from game to game to game to game that I don't like is not only the passiveness when it comes to his running, but his ball placement. He is not, he'll overthrow a guy, or he'll underthrow a guy, or even some of the completions that we've credited him with are to the wrong shoulder, or at least thrown so poorly that the receiver has to adjust and can't get yards after the catch like they typically would. He had Garrett Oakley going across the middle, I believe, and towards the right side of the field, wide open. And instead of putting it on him so he can run a little bit, he threw it so low that Oakley had to go to the ground. Didn't catch it, of course. And then he had Braden Lotta wide open, 10 feet over his head. A few of the short yards throws against Iowa State, he's thrown to the wrong shoulder, so the guy can't continue his momentum, and they're short of the sticks because of that in some cases. Ball placement is a real issue for him right now.
Which is why, to me, it's like, you got to let the guy run. Like, I mean, I'm not saying he can't get better as a passer, but what's the ceiling of Avery Johnson being relegated to being a pocket passer that can take off and run like 4 or 5 times a game? Like, what? I mean,
if he's not a true dual threat, like I think I said this after the first game, I believe, with you guys. Like, it was like a rhetorical question: how many games can Kansas State conceivably win if Avery Johnson's not a good runner?
Yeah, that's where I mean, I don't know, Cole. DY was just talking about, hey, don't call quarterback power over and over again. I mean, I'm not saying make him a 2018 Alex Delton, but I wouldn't mind seeing quarterback power a couple times every now and then. I mean, it felt like that was kind of what they were doing against Texas Tech 2 years ago when he rushed for 5 freaking touchdowns. So,
yeah. In another issue, or maybe it's not an issue, or they don't see it as one, is they go read option, right? And the defense is always going to take away Avery and force him to give. That's just how they're going to play it. They'd rather your running back take it than Avery.
Well, you would right now. I mean, this is where the Dylan Edwards piece of the equation comes into it. If Dylan Edwards is in there, then that's a little bit different. So I'll cut them some slack on that they just don't have any pop at running back right now.
I'm saying don't call that if it's that obvious where they're just going to force Avery to give.
Do they force him to give? I mean, I feel like there are opportunities he could keep it, pull it.
I mean, they're right in his face a lot of times on that.
I mean, I don't know. Will defenses keep forcing him to give if they're going to be reluctant to keep? I mean,
if I just heard Avery or Chris Kleiman's press conference, if I'm a defense, then I might force him to keep.
Maybe Chris Kleiman's decoying. Maybe it's a whole decoy game plan here. They're going to start pulling that ball out and see him take off and run. Avery Johnson didn't play well on Saturday. You guys outlined everything. He got away with multiple picks and, potential multiple pick sixes. And we outlined some of them on the All-22 film that Curry and I did. And
one of his touchdowns should have been an interception.
Yeah, that's just too late to get that ball there. You can't throw back across the middle there, off across your body in that situation. Got away with one there as well. Offensive line obviously did him no favors. Again, incredibly poor performance up front by K-State's offensive line. They got to protect better. They got to be able to run the ball better as well. When it comes to just standard blocking assignments, like the offensive line can't pick up a simple twist or stunt right now, and it's not acceptable either. So that's got to get cleaned up, and that'll help Avery Johnson. Look, the one thing I will say is like that 2-minute drive. I mean, they're fortunate they got another opportunity because I think a lot of people thought once you got the 4 and out turnover on downs or whatever on the drive before with just over 2 minutes left in the game, you might be toast.
Yeah. The funny thing is he almost threw an interception that drive.
That we haven't seen K. Yeah, he did. It was the 4th down play, right? Just the wrong placement with Jaron Bradley. But the irony of that was, guys, like I don't think we've ever seen a K-State football team be able to drive 80 plus yards in 1 minute's time. Like it was at least nice to see that K-State has a 2-minute offense. John, how many times did we watch like K-State in a situation like that historically? And I know this is an FCS team, like they could never. If there were less than 2 minutes left, they weren't driving 80 yards. They did that in basically a minute's time because they got the ball with like a minute 50 and they scored with 42 seconds left. So
47, I think.
Yeah. So at least they were able to come up with the solutions there and to be able to execute quickly. And he made some nice throws on that drive, a couple really nice balls to Tibbs. Though, again, looking at the all 22, there was an opportunity for a deep shot to Bradley on one of the balls to Tibbs. It's probably a 70-yard touchdown. Still made a good throw and catch, but those are the things that are there on the field. Avery's got to play better. He's got to limit the mistakes that we saw. I'm choosing, guys, to think of the performance through the air to be a little bit more of an anomaly on Saturday, because to what you said, you don't, DY, or you
I do.
Okay, yeah.
At least the turnover stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I the turnover stuff, because, I mean, to your point, he basically had 50% of his turnover-worthy plays in one game. And, yes, turnovers were an issue last year for Avery because of when they occurred in games, and it kind of snowballed. But to your point, he had 9 interceptions all year. All right, so it's not like it was a symptom that plagued them the whole year.
He does have to be better versus the blitz. His numbers versus the blitz.
Absolutely. And the fact that North Dakota, guys, one concern I have is North Dakota didn't feel concerned or scared at all to just show they were bringing all-out pressure, and they never dropped out of that. They stacked the line, and they said, we're coming. This is what we're doing.
Either his pre-snap detection of blitzes are really bad, or he just panics anytime he gets pressure in his face.
Well, or, I mean, this is the question I was going to ask, DY, because I'm not in the trenches at every press conference or whatever, but I know we were all talking about this after the game. Like, does anybody ask Climate? Like, I mean, does Avery have the ability to check out of something at the line of scrimmage? Like, what? I don't recall ever really seeing much of that, and that seems like that should be a position where you can just check out of something really quick and hit somebody hot. And, you got pretty good receive. If there's one room that actually has not been all that bad this year, it's the receiving room. So
the receiving room is upgraded. That's the only position where I think that you can clearly say that right now, but it's upgraded.
Do we, real quick, I mean, has that been asked? Like, can he check?
Yeah, I don't think maybe it was last year.
Do you guys, you get Wells on Thursday, right? Do you?
Yeah, maybe something there. Yeah.
Maybe a question just to ask on that, because a lot of those zero pressure looks they were bringing, Curry and I were talking about on the All 22 show, like, and you and I and John and all of us were texting about it during the game. Like, you got to be able to check out of those plays. Like, you got 1-on-1 with your 3 stud receivers, and you went and got a 6'3" and a 6'5" receiver. Like, a lot of those opportunities, guys, are plays where you just check out and throw the ball up on a vertical or a post route. Let them go make a play.
There's that, and I'd like to know who's setting the protections at times too.
Yeah.
I agree across the board. Only thing that I will say, Cole, and I'm going to try to choose to believe that it was a bit of an anomaly too but that was basically can we not say that was like the BYU game, just playing out against an FCS opponent, and it didn't, and you got a lucky bounce on a fumble, and you got lucky that they didn't take a couple of those back for scores, whereas BYU would have done. So, I mean, we have seen that, and that's kind of the issue, is like when it rains, it pours. I know K-State football is not real fond of the rain right now, but that's what we've seen throughout his career, is like if he has a game where he's going to be turnover worthy, he's going to be turnover worthy as hell. So that's my concern with it, is just like, is that still in there? How many more games like that are left this year? That would be my devil's advocate on that.
Yeah, there's no doubt a Big 12 team is going to capitalize on those mistakes. They're going to house those. So it's got to get cleaned up.
All right. Well, calling all Chiefs fans, you could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. We're back in just a moment.
What's up, guys? I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network, and I'm here to talk to Kansas City businesses. If you rely on technology, you need an IT support team that's not just another vendor, but a true IT partner. That's why I want to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, KJ Miller. He is a VCIO at ThrottleNet, the Midwest's highest rated and most reviewed IT support company. They've been in business for more than 25 years, helping companies stay secure, productive, and ahead of the curve. They aren't just IT support, but they provide data security, IT strategy, and cloud software services. They do it all, and their reviews show they do it better than anyone else. So if you want to hear about how ThrottleNet can help your local business, join the conversation with myself, KJ Miller from ThrottleNet, and our resident genius from KC Sports Network when it comes to IT, at least as he's affectionately known by us, Mr. Craig Stout. Click the link in the description to hear how ThrottleNet can help you.
I'm Brett Goodwin, one of the owners of The Learning Tree. The Learning Tree is a neighborhood toy store in Prairie Village, Kansas. This has been here in this location since 2000s, and my husband Alan and I purchased the store in 2023. Alan and I grew up in families where we've always wanted to have a business together. Alan grew up, for instance, his parents had a jewelry store. I worked in a local toy store here in Prairie Village when I was growing up. When this opportunity happened in 2023, we knew right away we wanted to contact them and pursue the store. We wouldn't have been able to get the store without the team at Emprise Bank. From the day we contacted them, they knew what we needed to do, which was very helpful. I would absolutely recommend the team at Emprise Bank to anyone looking to secure a business. We worked with Emprise from day one. They were extremely helpful. They were always great resources. We talk to them frequently. They know the area. They're very friendly. We know who we're going to talk with, and they know what we need to do. We hope we'll see you at the Learning Tree.
All right, final headline of the week. Chris Kleiman went off in the press conference about eye discipline. Seemed like that's the one thing that really, really bothers him. I don't know. We can't seem to get him bothered about special teams. But he sure was bothered about the eye discipline of the defense. And I don't know that now, I guess it depends on how much of that is in the secondary versus the front seven. But if you're worried about front seven eye discipline, I'm not sure that like Army is the opponent that you want to see coming into town now. I mean, it feels like that's going to require quite a bit of eye discipline here. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this the top storyline of the week, brought to you by our friends at Alenco. ALENCOhome.com. That's ALENCOhome.com to get hooked up with our friends at Alenco for all your home improvement needs. But that is concerning, is it not? That we looked at this game in the offseason and said, oh boy, this is going to be a real tough one here. That you're going to have to deal with the discipline of Army 2 weeks off of what happened in Ireland, right? Where there had been some thought that it was not the first game that gets you afterwards. It's the second game. And now you've had all these issues with just being completely undisciplined. And North Dakota, I mean, had some just completely wide open cart paths to run through at times during that game. So that does really concern me about the game coming up this week.
Yeah, I think his eye discipline is probably, I think it is more associated with secondary, which I think that's why it probably specifically pisses Chris Kleiman off the most, because I think that's where he kind of takes the most pride. He was a defensive back, all of those things, defensive coordinator. So I think it is more associated with your secondary. But, you know, eye discipline when it comes to the secondary is important against the triple option as well. They're in the run fits and they're doing all those things this week. So their eye discipline will probably be tested more than ever this week. I did kind of like that Chris Kleiman said if they see it in practice that there's a couple guys just not getting it, they're not going to play this week. And laying that hammer down is probably what needs to happen at this point for what's going on that side of the ball. With that being said, they are allowing less than 3 yards per carry as a team right now. So that does make you feel a little bit better about things going into this game. But with the way to defend Army, though, you can defend them for 98% of the game, but if that other 2% is big plays, you can still lose. So it's not necessarily the yards per carry that I'll be looking at. It'll probably be mitigating Army getting free in the run game and getting an explosive out of it.
It's interesting on the run defense, right? Because it feels worse than that when you watch, because there's been too many busts, right? North Dakota had 3 20-plus yard runs, and they were all just clean, untouched, so poorly played.
It's boomer bust because they'll stuff the rest of the 98% of them.
Yeah, and it was like
one of them down.
One of them was Austin Romaine just got beat horribly on, and again, I don't think K-State was good on its run fits up front either. You thought with this 4-down look, and maybe that's another discussion point, should they have gotten out of the 3-3-5? They were pretty darn good against the run last year, and they were obviously I wasn't going to say actually they weren't that good against the pass. It was their worst pass efficiency defense in the last several years. Concern I have, guys, is we have now seen this at early in the year, especially for each of the last 3 seasons with Chris Kleiman and Joe Klanderman coach defenses, right? The secondary keeps having these busts for as much, and I say busts, not players, but coverage busts, assignment busts. Obviously, we were at the Missouri game. Luther Burden's a different animal in 2023, but just multiple communication errors that happen on the back end of that defense. And it's been something that's plagued them now for 3 straight years, despite having a lot of talent in that secondary, even with Jacob Parrish and Marquise Siegel and those guys. Like, you're having busts. And I know weak link system, one guy screws up, it can screw the whole thing up. But 6 passes of over 20 yards by North Dakota. Guys were streaking wide open. Like, you guys watched the All-22 clip that we were texting about where the 23-yard touchdown that North Dakota had to pull within 3 in the fourth quarter. I mean, that was awful. Like he said, had 3 guys covering nobody. And you got to talk. You got to know what you're doing out there. And
it was 4-on-2, and it basically gave up a 30-yard touchdown pass.
And there was nothing special about the play.
It's pathetic. Nothing special about the play. But I will say, like, the scheme looked funky. Like, I wonder if they just need to simplify things up a little bit too much, because they were doing something really complicated against a pretty simple play.
Yeah, and maybe there's changes that are, Chris Kleiman talked about the eye discipline stuff. Like, maybe there's going to be changes we see in the secondary, because I think Amari and Fortenberry showed some nice things at corner.
He'd be starting if it was me, because I think now small sample size and maybe they don't want to jump to conclusions. I get that, but in his snaps, he's been much better than Clemens and Donovan McIntosh.
Yeah, so that could be a shakeup. We see safety play has to be better. Chris Kleiman mentioned
free safety. I will say strong safety too. VJ Payne's underachieving.
Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, Chris Kleiman singled out VJ Payne as a guy that just needs to play more freely out there.
Yeah, my question. All I said was, like, what do you basically asked? What could you see this week that would make you feel better about the season moving forward? And he said more physical at the line of scrimmage, improved eye discipline, and guys not pressing. And he called out VJ Payne.
Yeah.
So. Well, at least that gives me some idea that Chris Kleiman thinks it's something fixable, because he has not been very good. I echo the thoughts on Fortenberry in the secondary. That sure seems like, now I know he was kind of banged up to start the year, so maybe that's been some of it too. But
get him integrated a little bit slower because of that. I could see that. I like Quay Masso.
Yeah, they whatever changes they can make, if it's going to be scheme, and that was the other thing I was going to tag onto that discussion, is Chris Kleiman after the game, in addition to saying eye discipline over and over again, he was like, hey, look, me and Klanderman are going to fix this. So I kind of took that, Cole, as being like hey, maybe there is something scheme-wise that they can do here. I mean, I know that's like a really general statement and I'm kind of reading into it, but it was a very like angry, upset, Klanderman and I are going to fix this. So I would think there has to be something on the schematic end that they would do too.
If I'm going to read between the lines on that, I don't want to be a coach that my head coach basically says he kind of has to step in and do my job a little bit.
Yeah. Well, Chris Kleiman's a secondary guy, right? And I would agree with that, DY. And the problem is, obviously, with Army is, again, to circling back to the point you guys were talking early there, we're not going to know if it was fixed like in the secondary from this game, right? I mean, Army might throw a trick play at you. That's where you got to be disciplined, because they might run off those toss flags.
Not pass defense wise, but I think you can see if the eye discipline has improved even against Army, because they really test you.
Yeah. So then, the secondary is not going to really get tested, but yes, the secondary will get tested in tackling. Obviously, your front 6 guys have to be responsible.
We'll know if their eye discipline got better if there's no big plays in the run game, though.
Yeah, and I don't know. I was thinking about circling back to this game, and just if they're able to go out and dominate, and I lost my train of thought. So I had a point to make, John, and I completely whiffed on it.
Well, I was about to scold you for giving me flashbacks to the Navy trick plays that happened in that game last time K-State took on a service academy in the Liberty Bowl. So,
well, I mean, anytime North Dakota ran anything in misdirection, like, it was right there, like wide open against Kansas State on Saturday. So hopefully these guys come out and they play with some fire and passion, and we see them, jump out to a nice lead. I mean, I'm pretty stunned, honestly, that the point spread is K-State by 17.5. It started at 15.5, and it's actually went up. So it's a surprise to me.
All right. Well, how in depth did you go on the on the Army preview, Cole? Like, what do you have? The Dwayne Coleman, our quarterback, has been injured. Is he gonna play?
Yeah, it sounds like he is going to play. Jeff Monken, the head coach of Army, did say that they expect him to be able to play. He's beat up. He couldn't finish the game against Tarleton State. Look, I will say this because I know people are like, Army's not good. And yeah, Army lost a lot. I mean, they came into the season 43% returning production overall, which was 101st nationally. Bryson Daly, their star quarterback who finished 6th in the Heisman Trophy voting, is gone. So they've got a senior in Dwayne Coleman that takes over at quarterback. He had 111 snaps last season for Army. People will say like, oh, Army's not good. They lost to Tarleton State. Like, I got news for everybody. Tarleton State's a hell of a lot better than North Dakota. All right. So they played a better opponent than Kansas State did. Tarleton State's ranked around 5th in the country right now in the FCS. That is an up and coming program. They went 8-3 in 2023. They went 10-4 in 2024, lost to South Dakota in the second round of the FCS playoffs. Like, that is a good FCS program, and Army lost that game in overtime. Now, they squandered chances to win it. They were up 7, and uncharacteristically, Army turned the ball over on 3 consecutive possessions with a chance to put that game away. You know, guys, Army had 9 turnovers all of last season. You think of Army, you think clean, disciplined, clean football, right? They had 9 turnovers all last season. It was top 10 in the country in fewest turnovers. They turned it over 3 times against Tarleton State, so accounted for 33% of their total season's turnovers just in that game alone. A team that doesn't get penalized, obviously, you can't make mistakes against Army. They led the country in fewest penalties per game last year, top 5 in fewest penalty yards per game. They're a team that's typically not going to beat themselves. But again, a new quarterback and Dwayne Coleman, he threw 2 interceptions in this game. Now, he's known to be or thought to be a better passer than what Army has had traditionally as they bring the triple option attack. He went 7-12 for, I think, 129 yards, almost 11 yards per pass attempt in that game, but no touchdowns to 2 picks. Helms, the backup quarterback, he's only attempted 7 carries in his career coming into last week when he entered the game, and he hadn't attempted a single pass in his career. He went 1 of 4 for 2 yards. So we'll see how healthy Coleman is to be able to run a system. Talk about being banged up. Like, your quarterback has to run the ball a lot. If you're at Army, he had 24 carries for 100 yards last weekend against Tarleton State. We'll see how much he's able to stay on the football field because he got banged up twice in that game. So that's going to be a big part of it. Look, if you look at numbers last year, Army was one of the best offensive teams in college football and actually one of the better defensive teams. Their offensive line won the Joe Moore Award for top offensive line in the country. They've got 2 studs back up front. They lost their other 3 starters. 42 touchdowns on 55 red zone attempts. Red zone percentage, touchdown rate, 4th highest in the nation. They don't get in long distance situations, typically under 3 tackles for loss allowed per game, 2nd fewest in the country last year. On the other side of the football, Nate Woody's defense, 8 of 18 defenders who recorded 200 plus snaps last season are back. It's an Army defense that was top 20 in the country last year in points per drive allowed. But in 2023, Army was 100th in the country or 67th in the country in points per drive allowed. Their offense was 118th in the country in points per drive scored. Last season, 36 nationally in pass efficiency defense, 4.1 yards per rush, 64th in the country, 4.4 tackles for loss per game. You're probably wondering why I'm giving you numbers from last year, but it's just because we've only seen one game sample size. Noah Short, Hayden Reed, 2 good running backs. Short's a guy you got to watch in the receiving game. He had 6 receptions for 81 yards last weekend, and he was their explosive guy in the passing game last year as well. So, got to be ready to play. And again, Army led the country in time of possession last year and against Tarleton State in the opener, 36 minutes to 23 minutes. So this is a game where, guys, to me, you can't make a mistake. You can't have a turnover or 2 because that's where you can really get into trouble. You're going to have limited possessions. We all know that if Army plays to what they want to do out there. So you're going to have to get off the field on 3rd down, and offensively, you got to capitalize and score touchdowns, and not have some sort of costly turnover where Army can then keep the ball 8 to 10 minutes and start to chew up clock.
That's really the concern, is that this could become a game with not very many possessions. Although I went through, where did I have that note? I was looking at the amount of possessions that Tarleton State had in the game, Cole, and Man, I didn't jot that down. They had like 12 possessions. I mean, now I know that the game went into overtime, but even in regulation, I think they had 10 or 11 possessions. Like it was not
turnovers.
Yeah, the turnovers, and then Army did have a couple of uncharacteristic 3-and-outs as well. The SP Plus of Bill Connolly has K-State winning this game 33-20 with the 78% win probability, so actually expects a closer game than what the Vegas odds say. I'll say this, like, Army played one P4 independent team last year, Notre Dame, 49-14 loss. 2023, 29-16 loss at Syracuse, 27-24 loss at home to Boston College, 62-0 loss at LSU. 2022, they lost by 35 at Wake Forest. 21, they lost by 14 to Wake Forest. They beat Missouri in a bowl game and lost to Wisconsin 20-14. People will look at Army and they'll see the 2018 overtime loss to number 5 Oklahoma, and 2019 a 2 overtime loss to number 7 Michigan. But traditionally, Army has lost games against squads like Kansas State by a sizable margin. So we'll see if it maintains that. We'll see if this K-State different team can step forward and play well. An
interesting note I would put on this is Army's the only P4 opponent they play this year, I believe. Did I have that right?
That sounds right.
I think so. And if that's true, I mean, this is one they're going to circle. They're going to want to get.
Was Army overlooking Tarleton State, the military school overlooking Tarleton for Kansas State? I actually saw a tweet from an Army account where they speculated that like you wouldn't expect Army to be a team that overlooks anybody given the discipline and structure that they have. But
yes,
I don't know.
I just confirmed this is their only P4 opponent on the schedule this year. They don't play Notre Dame or anything like that.
Man, I forgot this game was on freaking ESPN. And so I just went to go
chance to show the nation what we're all about. So,
boy, yeah.
I mean, if Army had last year's team with this schedule, they would have went 12-0, I think.
Yeah. All right. Let's take another break. We'll come back with quick hitters next.
What's up, everybody? It is KCSN betting analyst Benny Heiss here. We got an update on the lines for this week's K-State and Army showdown. I'll give you my favorite play coming up in just a second. But, I live on the Kansas side. I was driving to the Missouri side for, ironically, something that you can't seem to find on the Kansas side. And it just keeps hitting me that fans in Missouri have been waiting forever. But the good news is the wait's almost over. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is finally coming to the Show Me State. And if you think you have to wait until December 1st to get started, not so fast, my friends. Think again. You can sign up right now, and when we go live, new Missouri customers are going to get $300 in bonus bets for placing just a $5 bet. $5! That is less than your seasonal pumpkin spice latte. It is also that season in addition to, football season. Remember, this isn't a rinky-dink operation. It's DraftKings. There's live in-game betting, lightning fast payouts, so many different ways to play, all from the convenience of your phone or mobile device. When we go live, you are betting with a sportsbook that is trusted by millions. It's safe, secure, fast withdrawals, everything that you would want in your sportsbook. Now let's talk a little Army K-State. The Wildcats right now, 17.5-point favorites over at DraftKings at -102 odds. Total right now sitting at 46.5. Slightly juiced to the over, I should say, at -115. It's pretty big discrepancy in the splits for this game. And I think it has a lot to do with K-State's non-impressive start to the season. 79% of the bets are on the over for 46.5, but just 55% of the money is there. Meanwhile, despite 2 rough starts for K-State, they are getting the bulk of the money to lay the 17.5 points, 66% of the cash, while the betting tickets are pretty close at 54 to 46%. Now, this line actually opened to K-State 16.5, and the total opened at 49.5. So we've seen some sizable moves towards the Wildcats and the under. I like the Cats here. I just don't like that line at 17.5. Instead, I'm going to lean K-State over 31.5 total points for their team total. This isn't the same impressive Army team from a season ago where they were really stout on defense, held opponents, were able to run the ball pretty well. They've got some major positional issues, had a pretty bad loss last week. And I do think K-State is ready to flex a little bit, especially with their offensive line. Joe Johnson set to go and dominate in the second half to put this one away. Listen, Wildcats need a statement win, and I don't want to deal with the potential backdoor cover. All of a sudden, they're up 24, they give up some meaningless touchdown, and your 17.5 bet does not end up hitting. I like the team total here for K-State at over 31.5. But here's your move. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now, use the code KCSN, and when we go live on December 1st, that $5 bet turned into $300 in bonus bets. That is code KCSN in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Remember, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21 plus and physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Those bonus bets expire 7 days after they are issued. That excludes customers who redeem the pre-launch sign-up offer. All the terms are available at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
All right. You guys sparked my interest in one that I'm going to add here to start. So Austin Romaine has 18 tackles on the year so far. He's averaging 9 tackles a game. If I put the over-under at 11.5 tackles for Austin Romaine on Saturday against Army, where they're going to be running the ball a lot, right? A lot more opportunities you would figure for him to pick up some tackles, but some things to consider. Does K-State get up big? And then is he out of the game in the second half? All right. There are a lot of variables to weigh here, but 11.5 is what I'm going to put the over-under on Austin Romaine tackles at.
Yeah, another variable is, like, can they get 3 and outs? If you do that, then you really shrink the game and don't play what Army wants. I will say over just to be safe because I think that's the smart play, but I don't really have a feel for how it's going to go yet.
Well, John dared me to say that he was going to break the tackle record in this game on one of our preseason shows that Oklahoma's Kenneth Murray had said. So what was it, like 28, John?
Yeah, let me double check that number.
I'll take the while you double check that, I'll take the over on Austin Romaine tackles of 11.5 in this game.
If it's
Cole, you were correct. He had 28 tackles against Army in 2018. Yeah.
If Romaine gets under 11.5, it probably means Kansas State got the right amount of 3 and outs and won decisively.
Well, that's a good point too. Yeah. So
how high would I have had to set the over/under at for you to go under?
Probably 12 or 13, 13.5, I would say.
I was going to say 14. Andon Thomas, the linebacker for Army, talented guy coming back. He had 14 tackles last week against Tarleton State. So good player there. I would have said 14 as the over/under for Romaine.
Okay. I originally I was going to do 12.5, and then I started thinking, well, but if they win by double digits, that's probably not going to get. So anyway, I talked myself off of.
I don't know if they are
at 12.5. Okay. Power rank the biggest problems with this team right now: quarterback, offensive line, special teams, secondary. Power rank.
Say it
Here,
again.
I'll put them in the chat for you.
QB, O-line, special teams, and something else.
Secondary. There you go.
Start ranking these right now on paper. Make sure I get this nailed down.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing. I would say 1 would be offensive line, 2 secondary, 3 special teams, 4 QB. QB has to be the least worrisome of the 4. I would disagree with anyone that ranked it higher. But offensive line, secondary, and special teams, you take your pick. They're all 3 littered with problems at the moment, and if we always get crap for getting things wrong, so how about we pat ourselves on our back? We said the 2 areas to watch this year would be the offensive line and the secondary. Here we are. And special teams.
Unfortunately, the concerns have come to fruition. Sure would have been nice if at least one of those didn't look like they were disasters right now. Offensive line, obviously, the George Fitzpatrick thing set them back a little bit. But by the way, encouraging update from Chris Coleman on George Fitzpatrick.
And I know this is going to sound like maybe an excuse, but I think if George Fitzpatrick comes back around that time frame and he's like playing to his level, that does solve a lot of problems.
It does, because right tackle is a major issue right now.
You can slide some of the guys playing right tackle into the, and then you just have 4 or 5 options at guard. You're like, all right, duke it out. The 2 best are going to play.
Yeah, Pastore moves over to right tackle, and I will say, like, John Pastore, good against Iowa State, didn't play very well against North Dakota, so he's got to be better too.
I thought he was just okay. That for some reason, the North Dakota guy with a bull rush just every time he did that. Yeah.
John, number 1 for me, offensive line. Number 2, secondary. I'm different than DY. He'll disagree with me. I'm going to put quarterback play number 3 just because quarterback is such an important part. Like, Avery Johnson's got to be better. The stats tell you one story. Avery's got to be better. Again, I still think the game against North Dakota is more of an anomaly than anything. But
That's
we
why
talked
I had
about.
4.
Yeah. 4th is special teams, only because at this point, guys, I've given up.
There's that. What I will say too, there is a part of it where special teams is less impactful because you're getting less plays than all these other 3 positions, but still, still gross.
The Discord has challenged us on the rule changes to special teams actually occurring last in 2019. Yeah, I need to double check it, make sure there were no new rule changes. But here's the special teams numbers, guys, and Brian Fremo's FEI rankings during the Kleiman era. Number 4 nationally in 2019. The COVID season will count here because they were number 1 in the country. So we'll count the special teams ranking that year for that. 2021, number 50. 2022, number 24. Then in 23, 49. 2024, 76. And 2025, they rank 81st. But the 81st doesn't even tell the story, guys, because Brian Fremo's metric doesn't track FCS games. So it would be worse because they were awful against North Dakota. So
North Dakota is when they actually give up points too.
Yeah. So
the penalty.
If you put a bar graph, right, or a line graph that shows the heartbeat of special teams or whatever, it's just trending downward from 22. You were top 25 in the country, then to 49, then to 76, and now you're probably in the hundreds nationally if you counted the FCS game. So we'll see if they can figure it out.
22, you were still getting special teams touchdowns from like Malik Knowles and Phillip Brooks.
Yeah.
I think, Cole, you're talking about an EKG, I believe, not a graph, right? The EKG? Is that what you're holding?
Sorry, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Well, Cole, I will say it is sad for me to hear that you believe, much like Chris Kleiman, that special teams doesn't matter very much by ranking it last here. So that's,
Well, you said he gave up. Well, maybe they gave up too.
I think it matters. I've just lost all hope. They killed it. Like, I don't know. Maybe they'll resuscitate us against Army, and we'll show them what special teams use all about. But
we're using a lot of medical terms to describe our special teams.
My concern really is like when Kleiman got asked about it after the game, Tim Fitzgerald asked him, and he just was kind of. I mean, first of all, he only addressed the penalty, the running into roughing, whatever it wound up being. Either way, it was the first
and
down.
The fumble kickoff return.
And then the fumbled kickoff. And I'm just like, you had 9 players out there for an extra point. Like the game hanging in the balance up 2 with 40 seconds left, and you have 10 players out there to kick an extra point. Like there's so much more going on than just the glaring obvious issues. And now he could just be addressing that because he doesn't want to completely undress a coach out there. But we've seen so much track record now, the special teams being horrendous, that I don't know. I've got reason to be concerned. I'm like, does he think that that's the only issue? Like, surely they're.
The thing is,
the guy's not running onto the field in time. Like, I don't.
Yeah, the thing against North Dakota, it wasn't just performance based, right? It was also operationally based when you have 9 players on an extra point block.
Guys, do you think it's just this, like, does Chris Kleiman not prioritize? Like, I know I've called Nate Katzer out, and we all have, but like, is it Kleiman more not prioritizing special teams enough? Like, the downward trajectory as you drift farther away from the Snyder era is kind of glaring. Like,
yeah, well, that's why I'm trying to be careful to not like specifically call Nate Katzer out all the time, because it's like, look, it's just a fundamental, complete failure and flaw on the team. And I mean, he was employed in the I know that's the joke, like NFL special teams coach, but like he was employed in the NFL for a long time coaching special teams. So yeah, I don't know. Is it just not enough practice time at this point? I will just say this, regardless of how you feel about Nate Katzer and the job that he's doing at this point, a large portion of it is on Chris Kleiman too, because he's just left it unattended and has not allowed it to get any better, like has not done anything to make it any better, and it's just getting worse. That's on that. What did he say about Joe Klanderman after the game? Klanderman and I are going to get that fixed. Makes it a point to come out. Klanderman and I are going to get that fixed. We have not heard that Katzer and I are going to get that fixed about special teams yet. So you gotta come down on Kleiman for it at this point. Yeah, 100%. Having said that, it's special teams 1 nothing else even registers.
I was waiting for you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. These two discussions I think are going to be really fun. And I took this from some of the Discord discussion, by the way. So if you want to be a part of this, on the reg, patreon.com/3ma, you can get signed up and become a patron. $5 a month, and then you get access to the Discord where we have these types of discussions throughout the week. Who would K-State win more games with this year at quarterback? 2025 Avery Johnson, 2021 Skylar Thompson, or 2023 Will Howard?
2023 Will Howard wasn't very good, right?
Yeah,
I'll get you some numbers if you would like.
man, that is.
Yeah, I don't need numbers, but I guess what's ingrained in my head about that year is Will Howard's performance in Stillwater. That's why I think about that. But
What's tough about that is I was actually thinking 2023 Will Howard, but because your receivers, he's going to have better receiver play this year, right? But he doesn't have the running game. Like Will Howard is not necessarily a great mobile quarterback, and you don't have a Deuce Vaughn or DJ Giddens right now. So I'd probably go with 2021 Skyler, if we're counting the leg injury and he can't move with this offensive line, he's going to get killed unless they clean that up. So great question. A healthy Skylar Thompson in 2021.
It is staggering looking at Sky. You want to take a guess how many touchdown passes Skylar Thompson threw in 21?
12.
Not that many because he ran for like 14 or something, right?
Yeah, 12. He threw 12 touchdown passes, only 4 picks. He completed 70% of his passes.
How many rushing touchdowns? Look at that.
Skylar Thompson,
11.
Football in 21 had
double digits.
Am I making this up? It's showing up as only 4.
Oh, you know what? I bet it was 2019 he had 11 DY because
2019 he had
2021 he couldn't move. Remember that Oklahoma game? He had the knee injury against Southern Illinois.
Will Howard, by the way, throwing the football in 23, he was 61% completion, 2,600 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 10 picks.
Yeah, Stillwater games what sticks out and haunts everybody.
Will Howard rushed for 9 touchdowns in 23.
And he had 4 in 21, just like Skylar, actually.
I think I might go Skylar, man. I think I might go Skylar on that.
Skylar did run for 11 in 2019, yeah.
I mean, hopefully Avery proves that wrong. Now, the Big 12...
I think I'm going to go Avery.
Okay. The Big 12-centric discussion here. Who would you rather have as your quarterback? I'm going to start with DY because I know what Cole's answer is on this. That's why this question came about.
Mm-hmm.
DY, who would you rather have as your quarterback? Let's pretend just generic, not specific to K-State. You're starting a college football team. You get to draft a quarterback. Would you rather have Rocco Becht or Josh Hoover?
I think Josh Hoover.
Cole's Rocco Becht disrespect at this point.
I think it's tight, but I think Josh Hoover is really good. And then I used to be not on the Hoover train at all. And then last year, he really changed my mind. And then this first game, he looked like he took another step. So I think it's Josh Hoover. I think Josh Hoover is closer to the best quarterback than he is the worst.
Well, part of the reason I asked this is because this offseason, DY, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that you were calling him kind of a stats merchant, an empty calories guy in Josh Hoover. So I don't much last year.
I said that because TCU quarterbacks were kind of going to do that anyway in the system of Sonny Dykes. But I also said that I think Josh Hoover is actually just pretty good, and I got it wrong too.
I mean, I think he is good. I think they're both good, but like,
if you
makes the plays when you need plays to be made, man, I don't. And Iowa State didn't really run the ball all that well on Saturday. They were throwing it all over the yard. Without 2 NFL receivers, he still looks pretty damn good to me. I know it's very early, but you combine that with just like the clutch gene that he has. Like he's just a guy that is going to make the plays more often than not when you need them.
I think Josh Hoover, I would probably have as the number 2 quarterback in the Big 12 right now behind Sam Leavitt.
And then what is North Carolina? That's my other thing. Like, what is North Carolina? Did North Carolina impress you? Did they look like a well-oiled?
No, but Josh Hoover did that to a lot of teams last year. So it's not just a North Carolina thing.
some of it to me is just how their whole operation looked. They looked horrific.
Everyone was gawking over Baylor to finish last season and wasn't paying attention to what Josh Hoover was doing.
By the way, I'm changing my answer to Avery on the last question to 25. They need his running capability with this offensive line. So
that's kind of how I was, and I thought maybe the North Dakota game, like I said, a fluke. Then I'm going to take Avery over.
Yeah. Josh Hoover. John, how dare you put words in my mouth and not know if I would go with Rocco Beck? I could consider Rocco Beck.
Because we literally were having the discussion yesterday and you were dismissing Rocco Beck, and then you said I'd rather have Josh Hoover.
I think it's close, but I think I'd rather have Hoover. Like Beck's probably number 3 or 4 in the Big 12 to me.
Yeah. I don't have it particularly close. Josh Hoover. So Rocco Beck. Clutch Gene. Really clutching that Big 12 championship, wasn't he?
I know. I'm going to say this knowing the shit that I'll take for it. But Cole, how many times does Rocco Beck have to beat K-State for you to say something nice about him? Like, how many times does Rocco Beck have to reduce you to calling things unacceptable in a post-game live show for you to respect him?
Here's the thing. If K-State would catch the ball when he throws it right into their chest repeatedly, Rocco Beck wouldn't be 2-0 against Kansas State. 27-63 passing, 2 of his 3 worst performances in his career against Kansas State. So I think the discussion would be different if Kansas State would have capitalized similar to what North Dakota couldn't do against K-State on Saturday.
Okay. Well, there you have it, everybody. Finally, which one of us 3, I'll let Nick weigh in on this too, in the chat, Nick. Which one of us 3 would have fared best as an active duty member of the Army? Which one of us 3 sitting behind a microphone at a comfortable desk here would have fared best?
None of us. Probably Nick, because we're the worst.
Yeah,
Cole, I think Cole looks like he's like jotting down notes. Like, are you taking notes on like what you think?
Cole, it's
what was the Cole? Like, I couldn't do it.
Nick picked you.
He did. I didn't see Nick put that in the chat. Nick, thank you.
To be fair, it says I guess Cole with a question mark, so it was not exactly.
I think Cole has probably the biggest problem with authority. No.
What?
Wow. Let me bring everybody's issues to the surface, man. How about this?
Just that you would clap back if someone told you to do something.
I am a married man, DY. How dare you? I listen to my wife all the time. No, I argue all the time.
You are, me and you are both argumentative.
Yeah, I would talk back. I'd get kicked out, or I'd be doing up downs, etc. So, my biggest claim to I survived 2-a-day football practices for 4 years. Like that's all I got. I would not survive the military workouts.
No, none of us 3 would, but that's what jumps out to me the most about Cole is he would talk back on day 1 and.
Wow. Well, guess I can count.
Well, I was gonna say Cole would start providing a detailed statistical breakdown of all the things that the Army is doing wrong in its protocol.
Maybe John, because he's the most in shape, he can at least do the physical.
Yeah, John is the.
There is that, but the problem that I have is just I am not anything combative. I did once. So my answer was going to be Cole because he played 4 years of high school football. He played 4 years of high school football.
A low bar.
I played 1 year of middle school B team football, and just not my thing, man. The contact wasn't made for it. I did 1 year of high school wrestling, and I enjoyed how good a shape it got me in. I liked the workout part. I hated when we actually got on the mat to wrestle because that part I was terrible at, and I have no killer instinct. I don't want to. I'm just bro, I don't really care about trying to pin you.
Not every member of the Army fights though. They have desk workers.
I was gonna say John and I could be comms guys for the military maybe, but I would if you guys saw me on a hunting trip back when I was young, right? I took hunter safety. I passed somehow.
I've never shot a weapon in my life. So
I went, you'd say you wouldn't want me to. I went pheasant hunting with my brother. All right. We're walking. I'm 11 years old. I got a shotgun and we're walking through this tall grass and a pheasant literally pops out within 3 feet in front of us out of the grass. And I literally, without looking, I just shoot straight up in the air. Wedding Crashers, like the scene from Wedding Crashers when Owen Wilson gets shot. Like we're lucky my brother didn't get shot right in the ass. Okay, because like I didn't really aim. I just like shot a Hail Mary up in the sky. I don't even know where the bird went. All right.
I wish that was on like someone video.
Back then there wouldn't have been any of that video because like I never went hunting again. I became a fishing guy. Because
yeah, I've seen you do that. But you're the lazy fisherman though. You just you don't even actually do it.
Hey, sometimes I put the lure on and start, doing some action and going for bass. But yeah, a lot of times I just put the bobber on and just sit there and like put the pole on a chair. I've lost 2 fishing poles also this summer, guys, where I put the pole in a chair and I come back and it got yanked into the water and gone. So, yeah.
Oh, man.
There you go.
All right. Well, that generated an even better discussion than I could have ever possibly imagined. So let us know at home. Tweet us at JL Kurtz, at Cole_Manbeck, at
YouTube comments in the YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube comments at Derek Young KSO. Yeah, that's a better way to do it. Just blast the YouTube comments with who you think would fare best in our great military.
And if you have a better story than Cole on shooting a weapon, I want to see it too.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to the K-Rock Morning Show back in the day. One time when I was doing promo videos for them, they took me to Godfrey's shooting range in Junction City. I don't know if that still exists or not, but so I shot like every weapon that they had there at one point. The only time that I have. All right, lead pipe block of the week. I already got a complaint text this week about someone that, like, I'm never taking your lock again. I had to point out I am 1-1. Okay, so you'd be 500 if you had done this in week 1. But I'm sorry that Baylor got physically manhandled by a middle of the pack SEC roster. That is my fault.
What'd you get first week?
DY is also 1-1. First week I had Hawaii.
Yeah. Are you sure? Maybe he was meaning me, John. I think I'm on a stretch right now. The historical run dating back to last season where I'm maybe like 2-11. So please, people, do not bet like what I say.
Yeah.
You want to fade. Yeah, you're gonna want to fade Cole. So go the opposite way.
In fact, we are giving you the lock of the week. For me, it's the opposite of what I choose. So you're welcome.
That's so true. I had the K-State under, and I got that in week 0. Week 1, I bet with Cole. That's where I went wrong.
We both took Texas. Yeah, but the game I actually really loved was TCU over North Carolina. I put money on both games though, so I will tell you, like I bet Texas in real life too. So
I did too.
Yeah,
and I bet TCU 2.5.
Yeah. Cole will tell you he will be making his mortgage payment this month. Do not worry.
So if you want to go with a lock, you're going to take Kentucky here because I'm taking Ole Miss minus 10.5 on the road and the SEC opener at Kentucky. I think Kentucky sucks.
I think they do too. I just don't know how good Ole Miss is this year yet.
Neither do I. That's why I probably get it wrong. So,
I've got an SEC team here. I'm thinking letdown spot for South Florida taking on Florida. So I'm going Florida minus 17.5. I mean, I don't know that we know exactly how good Florida is exactly, but USF just got everyone's attention by gobsmacking Boise State. So now they got to go play an SEC team on the road. I mean, that feels to me like a little bit of a letdown for them.
It could. My thing was like if all those players on USF probably felt like they got turned down by Florida, so they might get up for that. So that's the only thing I would think. I like Arizona State minus 7. I don't think Mississippi State's all of a sudden good. And Arizona State just played with their food a little bit with Northern Arizona. I think they probably got a good wake-up call this week from their staff, come out guns firing and put it to Mississippi State a little bit. So I like the Sun Devils minus 7. They're a touchdown better than one of the worst teams in the SEC, right? Come on.
Well, I was just about to say, I hope like hell you're right because that game scares me a lot. For Big 12 perception purposes, that's a game Arizona State cannot lose. You cannot lose that. Arizona State just cracked the top 10.
I don't even know if you can win by a little. You're still going to get judged if you're the Big 12.
Yeah, they need to win that game handily. So don't let me down.
What do you think about that one, Cole? You like my side?
Yes, I do like Arizona State to handle Mississippi State. So
I don't think Cole was paying any attention.
No, I was listening to you. I was listening to
You're
I started thinking about like the other impactful games for the league, KU, Missouri, and Iowa State, Iowa.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be nice to get one of those two as well for the league.
I think I would take KU, but I would take Iowa.
Really, you got Iowa plus 2.5.
Yeah.
So.
Who are you rooting for in those games, Cole?
Oh, great question.
Definitely Iowa, right?
Really torn there. Yeah, I got to root for Iowa to pick off Rocco back like 4 times so I can, at least have a little bit of smack, even though he's 2-0 against Kansas State. KU, Missouri, I just hope it's a great game. I no sides. So I don't like either one.
I think KU can win. I think they might win.
Yeah, they absolutely can win. I think Missouri's got quarterback questions. That's where my concern with them would lie.
Do they? Didn't Bo Perbula have like 400 yards the other day?
Again, didn't watch.
Central Arkansas, though, right?
Yeah, so I might be wrong.
Sam Horn is hurt, but like Bo Perbula, I don't know. Nick probably knows. Nick, am I correct on that? Didn't Perbula have like a crazy stat line? I mean, yeah. Central Arkansas, but okay.
No,
Didn't Eli Drinkowitz call timeout like with 20 seconds left with Central Arkansas at the goal line to try and stop him? Yeah. He is such a loser.
He does that when he's getting killed and when he's killing the team.
He's unreal.
Because wasn't he the coach?
Yes, he called it against K-State to punch one in down 40-6 with K-State's third string in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Remember when Les Miles did that?
To get his son a fullback
that
dive?
was sentimental. He wanted his son to get a touchdown.
Yeah. I can be a little more understanding of that. All right. I'm taking K-State to beat Army 27-17. What say you guys? 27-17.
I got it. Cole, go first. I haven't really thought about it.
I was going to say.
This whole season has sucked all this excitement out of me already. But I got it's the chain.
Well, if we would have had that for North Dakota, it would have been a different, ball game would have been more dominant. I was just thinking, like, maybe for my pick each week now, like for Army, I could have had a shotgun and I could have fired it straight up in the air like Lee Corso with the OU gun, fire that. But I'm not
dig a hole in your ceiling.
Yeah, well, it's worth it for the show as a cloud of sheetrock comes down on me, right? But I wouldn't be picking Army because Kansas State's going to come ready to play. All right, they're going to show some intensity. They're going to clean up some things. I like Kansas State to win this game 31-10. Cover the spread. Defense good against the run. K-State's offense capitalizes in numerous possessions. Wildcats come on top. We feel a little bit better heading into Tucson next Friday night, only to probably have our hopes and dreams shattered. But, I'm hoping we're all in a better mood. We need to feel better. I have had 2 now Saturdays where I have went to bed thinking Kansas State's not good at football. And that does not make me feel positive, and I need to feel different. So, go Cats!
I love the speech. I have it 24-14. I think it's going to be low possessions, and the defense does enough on a few drives to keep them out of the end zone. Offense scores on half their possessions. One is a field goal. It just seems about like what they would do right now. 24-14.
All right. There you have it. Thanks to our friends at Alenco, Holiday Distillery, GEHA, and everybody who put on the Hunters Safety Program in Northeast Kansas circa like 2001. We appreciate all of you guys. And Nick Springer, obviously, behind the scenes as well. For DY and Cole, I'm John. Thanks for listening to another edition of 3 Mile. We'll talk to you soon.